In Nigeria, the NCDC has confirmed 571 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The latest data shows that the largest number of infections came from Lagos State, which saw 170 cases. This release means the country has now seen over 153,000 infections. It also says 643 COVID-19 patients were discharged in 24 hours. And according to the agency, the discharges also include 214 community recoveries in Lagos State, 61 in the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, and 11 in Benue State, managed in line with the guidelines. With the new figure, 129,943 patients have now been discharged after recovering from the infection.
For more on this, we are now joined by public affairs analyst, Professor Chris Nwakobia. Welcome to Newsday.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay. And so let's touch on the stories we've just referred to. Is there cause to be optimistic? The numbers seem to be staying within the 500 and something mark, even though recently we were told that 1 in 5 people, as many as that, could be infected with the virus. Is there cause for optimism at all?
Let me say clearly that I followed this COVID story very passionately because like Norman Vincent Peale would say, we're caught and we're involved in mankind. The death of one man diminishes me. And sincerely and very seriously, the hoopla about the COVID and the COVID vaccine has raised fundamental issues. And that is why my friend and brother, the Kogi State Governor, for instance, has said that we have to be careful what we do with these statistics and what we do with the figures we churn out. Let me say clearly that in Nigeria, we're talking so much about COVID. We haven't done up to 5 million tests. And this is a nation of about 200 million people. So on what statistics are we making our adumbrations? On what statistics are we raising the red flag? You know, Ghana has done more than 50% tests of its population. So Ghana can perhaps make its conjectures. But in Nigeria, we must be very careful what we do. This garbage in, garbage out, this copy and post or copy and paste normative is what we lampoon. We're saying that the time has come for us to verify, interrogate, and raise fundamental questions. Because apart from South Africa, in Africa, the question about COVID and the hoopla about COVID is becoming so much of a tale, like Shakespeare would say. It's so loud, a tale in the market, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. If you have been able to test about 10%, or let's say 20% of your population, and the NCDC or the PTF, the Presidential Task Force on COVID, and making the statistics or putting out the statistics they are putting out, then we will be able to make certain sane conjectures. But as you and I talk, not up to 5 million Nigerians since February 27th, 2020 have been tested.
All right, Professor Chris, the WTO DG, just to be clear, did give thumbs up to the CDC for what they are doing, their job so far, just to be clear. But you called him your friend and your brother. Now, if we draw I'm talking about the Kogi State Governor, Bello. If we draw a parallel between how Trump treated COVID and how Biden is now treating COVID and the different outcomes that both did have, how does what is happening in Kogi State rub off on both the Kogi people and the nation of Nigeria in general?
Let me give you a massive surprise. That with all the hoopla from NCDC and PTF, they haven't been able to contradict the figures and the statistics coming out from Kogi. The Kogi State Governor has said that Kogi does not have COVID-19. The tests they have brought out hasn't contradicted his position. Now, what we're saying, and simply, is shouldn't we interrogate the figures and the statistics? I'll give you a practical instance. Do we have a special cloud over Kogi that stops people from dying from COVID-19? Because if he hasn't instructed compulsory wearing of face masks, if he hasn't instructed compulsory social distancing, then why is it that human barbecues are not everywhere in Kogi? Why are people dying in their hundreds? You know, I think that that's what an intelligent society must do, rather than say, beware or be careful about Kogi. You know, I think that the time has come for us to ask fundamental questions. And let me tell you this clearly. After the lockdown of 2020, the national statistics, economic statistics said that Nigeria made about $3.2 billion of foreign direct investments. Only Kogi made about $1 billion from it, because they were the only states that did not lock down. And then you don't have human cadavers, human barbecues everywhere in Kogi. So there must be something we must interrogate. That's the question we're raising. It mustn't just be copy and post. The West mustn't tell us everything and we swallow it whole line and sinker. We're saying that, what is it in Tanzania that deals with the COVID-19? What is it in Madagascar that handles COVID-19? What is it in Cairo, Egypt that handles it? Why are we caught up with the hoopla and the merchandising of the COVID-19 story and the vaccine? That's the question the young man in Kogi is raising. I think that the time has come for us to interrogate the whole story and then find out why there are no human barbecues on the streets of Kogi a la COVID-19.
Well, I guess for a lot of people who have been following the science and the scientists, there have been reports as to why we have not been affected by this virus as we've seen elsewhere, and so you would not be finding those cadavers you're looking for. But let me ask you, what do you then make of the total figures of infections and deaths recorded so far in the country by the official channel, the NCDC? Are you saying those are not real? And to add to that, do you also agree that there should be no vaccines in the country?
Let me say clearly that we're not saying that there's no COVID anywhere in the world. We're not disputing the existence of a flu-like, pneumonia-like disease that is killing people. Nobody is disputing that fact. And then we're not saying that the statistics being churned out by the NCDC is a ruse, if you like. What we're simply saying is that these statistics, if you look at it carefully, you find out that the survival rate from COVID-19 is above 90%. That's clearly what it is. The survival rate from typhoid, malaria, cholera, the survival rate from Lassa fever is far less. Why are we buying the normative of the West around and about COVID? That's what we're saying.